Recently, a medical student posted a few comedic skits online, and a lot of doctors all across the internet are furious. Some are calling his school, and others are writing emails to his program demanding that he gets removed. And the reason for all this? A lot of doctors think these comedic skits crossed a serious line. For those of you new to the channel, I'm Dr. Andreas, and I just recently graduated medical school. Now, for the last 5 years, I've been posting on social media, primarily comedic skits related to medicine, and in this time, I've built a community of millions of people online. So today, I wanted to break down these controversial videos and give you a little bit of perspective as to why so many doctors were made upset by these videos. And last, as someone who makes medical comedic skits, I wanted to share my own thoughts on the situation and leave you all with a few tips that I live by when it comes to posting on social media as a healthcare professional. Now, these controversial videos, they're very similar in regards to what they're about and mistakes that were made. So we're going to watch them back to back, and I'm going to share my initial reaction. So let's begin.
Snapchat me that on FaceTime me that say if it's cool.
Clitoris? Let it be a Majora? Damn, girl, how many pussies you got?
Before I give you my initial reactions, I just want to make sure I'm framing this video properly so we understand why a conversation like this is just so necessary. Social media has become a huge part of medicine, and obviously it's not going anywhere, and situations like this just remind us of how easily mistakes can be made and just how fast these mistakes can be recognized. So let this video serve as a learning opportunity for all of us, myself included. So right off the bat, the fact that I have to beep out some of these words because they're so vulgar, you'd think someone had common sense as a medical student not to make videos like this. Now, these videos, they'd had tens of millions of views combined. I think one of them had like 1 million likes and a bunch of shares. So no doubt about it, a lot of people thought these videos were funny. But for a healthcare professional to see these videos and realize, yeah, they actually do have tens of millions of views, it was shocking for all the wrong reasons, which I'm going to explain very soon. But in any case, in the comment section of these videos, in response to a lot of doctors and healthcare professionals like commenting this is not appropriate or we'll take this down, a lot of people were replying to these comments saying it's just a joke and it's not that deep. And to me, that's super ironic because in order to understand why there's so much controversy, you got to go a little deeper. And the reason for this is that, let's just say the person posting these videos is clearly some online jokester. Of course, doctors still don't want videos like this being made, but in any case, no one's really going to bat an eye. But when you go a little deeper and realize that the person posting these videos is a future doctor, then all of a sudden we have a big problem. And to give you an example of this, let's watch this video.
Cough? Ooh. I mean, they don't look that swollen. I don't know. I feel like you're fine.
I came here for my wrist.
So for starters, he's dressed like a sous chef, and if you click his profile, it clearly states, just a silly guy. So to the audience, it's obvious that he's not a real doctor, and they probably have a better chance of winning a lottery than to ever come to this guy for medical assistance. So if you look on the comment section, there's no comments about how perverted this video is, about how wrong this is. It's just another funny video. But if a doctor were to post this video, they'd have their medical license stripped, they'd be put in jail, and they'd never see another patient again in their life, which is understandable and correct. So it just goes to show you, when it comes to comedy and medicine, when a comedian makes a joke, it's obviously satire, but when a doctor makes a joke, the audience looks at this and naturally just wonders, is this what's going to happen to me when I go see a doctor? Now, if there's one thing about healthcare professionals is that they hold each other accountable to maintain a certain level of professionalism because that's just what the job requires. Now, patients, they don't come to hospitals while they're having the best day ever. They typically come to hospitals when they're going through some of the most frightening and vulnerable states they've ever been in, and they depend on medical professionals to take care of them. And by maintaining that standard of professionalism, especially in public settings like social media, it helps inspire confidence in the healthcare system and builds trust with patients that we can be there for them during these moments. And so when a healthcare worker goes against these standards of professionalism and appears to be making jokes online about these vulnerable situations, it can make patients worry that their concerns are not going to be taken seriously when they do need us, which ultimately undermines trust. And at a time where public trust in healthcare isn't as strong as it once was, it's understandable why so many doctors are so upset about this situation. But beyond the concerns with professionalism, there's a much bigger reason why so many people other than just healthcare professionals were made so mad by these videos, and that's to do with the specific topic that was being joked about, which is women's health. Now, historically, women's health has always been a sensitive topic, whether you're speaking politically, socially, or even culturally, and as a man, I can only do my best to explain why this is. But the underlying issue is that there's already a large population of women that exist that just don't like seeing doctors, and they avoid things like wellness exams. And this might be because they're embarrassed to get checked down there, or they're afraid they're going to get judged, or they think that doctors in general are just going to dismiss their concerns. And not to mention, during these women's wellness visits, the conversations that can come up can be uncomfortable, so doctors know how important it is to have their patients' trust. So with all this said, when you have a video that makes a joke about the uncomfortable aspects of women's health made by an actual healthcare professional, you can almost see it as like a contribution to the already pre-existing distrust that a lot of women feel towards healthcare. So now that we have a little more understanding of the situation, I hope it's apparent that finding comedy in medicine can be a very slippery slope. For me, during my journey in becoming a doctor and also being a content creator, I've made my fair share of mistakes. Maybe not to this magnitude, but in any case, I've always used these mistakes as a learning opportunity. And I know there's a lot of healthcare professionals professionals out there and medical students who will see these videos I just showed you and say, why would you ever think that's okay to post? And being that I'm a content creator and I've gotten billions of views, I'm going to give you my open and honest opinion and analysis about how this lapse of judgment could happen. Now, in addition to seeing these videos, I also went to the medical student's account and I saw that he also had a lot of other videos that got millions of views. So from my experience, what happens is that when you have a video go viral and you get a lot of views, it's like a mini high. And when you want that high again, you have to make another video. So you're always chasing that high. Now, in his case, I guarantee you that when he first started making videos, he had set boundaries in his head as to what he can post and what he can't post as a medical student. So what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And what I think happened here is that by chasing that high, by chasing that attention, virality, those boundaries that he originally set up got a little hazy. And when they get a little hazy, you do something you shouldn't have done, you make a mistake, and a situation like this occurs where you post about something or you joke about something that you weren't supposed to. So that's what happened. And that's just my assumption. Now, as far as repercussions go, I'm in no place to judge what should or shouldn't happen as a result of posting these videos, but I absolutely think that anyone within this space should be having conversations like these so we understand the do's and don'ts of social media and just make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. I'll always be a believer that there's a place for comedy in healthcare. I mean, there's a reason they say laughter is the best medicine. There's just something about being able to make a patient laugh that helps them heal, or making a coworker smile to help them get through a tough day. And I know navigating through social media as a healthcare professional can feel like an impossible task. So here are a few tips that have helped me as a doctor who really enjoys content creation. Tip number one, which is the most important tip, is never make the patient the punchline. This should be self-explanatory, but just because you're not like calling out someone individually in a video doesn't mean you're in the clear. A patient is defined as anyone with an illness that can potentially be under your care. So if you make fun of an illness, you're essentially making fun of a patient. Tip number two, if you want to be a content creator as a medical professional, please do it from the comforts of your own property and space. What I mean by this is that by filming at hospitals or filming at clinics, this can open all sorts of problems that you do not want. Now, we want to protect patient privacy at all costs, and when you film at hospitals and when you film at clinics, mistakes can be made and this can be compromised. It's very easy to record a video at a hospital and you inadvertently catch a glimpse of the background without even knowing, and all of a sudden you zoom in, you see names on it, you see paperwork, you see wristbands, and all this stuff can jeopardize patient privacy, and that's something you do not want to do. Tip number three is never give someone direct medical advice online, because believe it or not, through social media, a doctor can accidentally create a doctor-patient relationship which can be held accountable for medical malpractice in law. But even if there's no liability, without a full physical, without running exams, without knowing the history of the patient, when someone gives medical advice online, it's no different than just guesswork. And tip number four, there's more to life than just medicine. And what I mean by that is that as a content creator, you can post other things than just medicine. For example, if you look on my page, my most viewed video I think is like this video where I give my mom like an avocado for Mother's Day or something like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that people have lives outside of medicine and people are just as interested to see that as well. Laughter and humor have the power to connect people to medicine in the most human way possible. But the moment that the patients feel like they're the ones being laughed at is where a serious line gets crossed. Now, I hope this breakdown helped give some perspective to this controversy, and I hope we all have something to think about moving forward. Take care, guys.